Hello,
Here we are,
welcome,
episode 6.
or welcome back.
Welcome back. And I feel like today is a really good flow from last week, right? So last week we did ghost stories. Today we're doing, well, it shifted. At first we were going to talk about like unpopular opinions. Now we're doing glitches in the Matrix.
I always have been fascinated by glitches in the Matrix, for as long as I can remember. I found glitch stories when I was like 16 years old, and I think I was like 16 or like 15, and I googled something random or something, and I happened to stumble upon a Reddit, but from Google, so at that point I didn't even know what Reddit was, like what is a Reddit, and I found this story, and it was so interesting and crazy about this trucker in Alaska or somewhere.
I know that one.
And it's insane.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out. And from there, I've been addicted to them. But I don't like Reddit no sleep. Like the fake stories.
Yeah, no.
Don't give me the fake. I want the real ones
real
that are
ones,
really scary.
For real, yeah, don't give me a fantasy. So, I was going somewhere with that thought and I forgot.
I'm
Yes?
sorry.
No, I forgot what I was going to say.
I just remembered that we do have another glitch in the Matrix that we can talk about.
We have many. This is what I was going to say. Well, you were saying now while we were like prepping for the episode, she's like, at what point is it a glitch in the Matrix or is it like a ghost?
Yeah.
You're like, is it a supernatural thing or are you just breaking through to another timeline? So, I don't know, we'll talk about that as well. So,
Yeah.
Cool. But first, wait, this is my first point that I put here. I don't know if it's a glitch. Well, it's not a glitch, but, well, it kind of goes into it. Because glitches in the Matrix are like, can be like, yeah, like, but it can be like switching timelines or different dimensions, things like that.
Just
which
weird
all
things
goes back to like spirituality, and we both believe in like reincarnation, right? So, something that's kind of scary but kind of interesting is my first memory. Dude. Okay.
Like, it's so weird. It's such a weird thing.
It's so strange. And I want to talk about it because I want to know if anyone has
A similar thing.
an experience like this, because what is happening, guys? So,
What is happening, guys?
this is how my life started. I woke up one day. I was probably like 3 years old or 2. 3 or 2, like very young, because this was still in Venezuela and I was going to crash.
Why do you say 3 or 2? 2 or 3?
2 or 3. 3 or 2, I'm going back in time. 2 or 3. We were still in Venezuela, whatever. I wake up. This is my first memory of my life. I wake up and my mom comes in my room. She's like, hi, let's get you ready for school. And in my child brain, I go, okay, yeah, this is my life. My name is Nicole. I'm going to school. This is my mom. She's getting me ready. I'm like talking myself through my life and what's happening and who I am.
It's almost like you were like, this is my first memory.
Yeah.
This is
yes.
what's happening.
That's literally what I said. I was like, okay, I woke up and I'm like, cool, this is my first memory. My name's Nicole. What the do you mean?
It's as if you were like reincarnated and your sentient being was like catching you up. Like the sentient part of your brain was like, okay, welcome to this lifetime.
Yeah. Like my consciousness like came and she was like breaking it down for me. Like, okay, cool, this is the life that you're living now. This is the
Yeah, she was like catching up.
Anyways.
But that's such an interesting like point. Well, 2 things. 1, do you guys remember your first memory? Like,
yeah. And what was it?
Can you go through your brain chronologically to the first one? Because I struggled for a while. I was like, I don't know what it was. And then I kind of remember, and I think it's this, but it might not be. But then also, the other interesting thing it brings up is like, if we believe if reincarnation is real, like, is it true that your consciousness only enters that body at a specific point in time when it's developed enough to have thoughts?
To have thoughts, that's the thing.
Because also, what would it benefit you if reincarnation is real to be in a body that can't have memories? You know, because the memories is what's going to teach you, right?
Right.
Your karmic
Right.
lesson.
Yeah, lessons of life.
So now, what would it benefit you to be in a body for 3 years or 2 years that can't remember anything?
Can't remember anything.
That would also explain a lot about children being not conscious. Like they're not real.
No, they're not conscious, dude. I feel like truly until you're like 2, you don't know what's popping, bro. Like you're just a vessel.
But I think even
I
like
don't know.
well,
Like obviously you have a soul or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she's sleeping.
No,
She's
yes.
taking a nap fully.
that's what I think. But I also don't think like I don't think at 3 or like 2 or whatever your consciousness just is like there. I think it comes slowly over time. It's almost like they're like little orbs and they come together over time. Because like I was only fully conscious at like 19. Like for real, I wasn't.
Hectic.
I wasn't a person.
Yeah. But yeah, this is my thing also. Like, because, okay, like this happened with me when I was like 2, let's say. So is it because by that time I had already developed like the language to have the thoughts? Or like what? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's so strange.
Another thing is like what I just said, do you gain this consciousness like over time? But then for some people it takes longer than for others because like let's say my soul's cosmic reality or like karmic truth and lesson it was trying to learn, it knew it was only going to learn after I left the small town and like met you, met Mars, met my people, you know.
So she was like, I don't have to work hard right now. Like,
yeah, she was like, I don't have to be here right now. Like, you do this first part on autopilot and I will come later.
Yeah, you were living in autopilot.
That's what I felt like. I didn't feel it. I didn't know. So
No.
like, I was just living my life thinking that I was living my life. But it really feels like, if I think back through my memories and I'm like, it feels like I wasn't, I don't even know how to explain it. It feels like something wasn't unlocked. Like, my brain, like I was smart and capable of understanding and capable of like gathering information and retaining it. But like there was something missing on like a...
There was no soul. There was nothing behind your eyes.
Yeah, there was something missing on like a spiritual level that wasn't there, that I have now. That I'm like, when I think back, I'm like, where was this?
But dude, even like from an outside perspective, like me looking at your photos from school, I'm like, this is not a real person. Like,
Yeah, but
who is that?
Like looking back at my photos from school, I don't understand. I'm like, what was my mindset? Like what was the thinking behind this person? I don't know.
It's like there was thinking, but there was no real thoughts.
There was thinking in the sense of like, listen, whoever she was, whatever she was smart. She was capable and smart. Like I don't think I was a dumb person when I was in school. I just wasn't. It's almost like the part of my brain that is like critical and
like
aware of stuff in the world wasn't on. So I had, I don't know how to explain it.
But I mean, even like things like you watched Nemo for the first time when you were 19, like that doesn't make sense to me. Like obviously then you weren't fucking conscious, dude. Like,
but I never thought like, oh, I haven't watched Nemo. Like I only realized that was a weird thing when I like brought it up to Maurice and he was like, you've never watched Nemo? Like, no, why would I have watched Nemo?
But that's what I'm saying. Like normal children experiences, you didn't have that. Like what the fuck?
Yo, there's a lot of things that like especially like when I was like maybe 15 to like 17, there's just a lot of things that don't make sense. But then at the same time I'm like, maybe it's like it was trauma because my dad died when I was 15, so maybe like my brain just was in a trauma mindset, just in survival. So like it was just doing the bare minimum. And also like I think one of my coping mechanisms at that time was just like throwing myself into schoolwork. So that's why I'm like, I was book smart.
Yeah.
And I was logical about it. Like I could put concepts together that like stuff, like it wasn't like I was book smart and couldn't relate stuff. Like I could still do that, but like I just wasn't critical, I guess.
Anyway, so tell us about your first memories. We want to hear.
Yeah.
Because what is going on? So,
the list.
Cool. Glitches in the Matrix.
What do you think about glitches in general?
What do you mean, what do I think? What is the question?
Like, do you think that people go to alternate timelines and stuff?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think a lot of them can be like you're switching timelines or... Okay, this is my thing. What's the difference between a timeline and a different dimension? Or is it the same thing?
Depends on what you believe, I don't know.
Dude, me neither. I don't know.
Because, like, I guess in science you can say it's the same thing, but like some people believe it isn't. I don't know. Like I believe, I definitely believe you can switch timelines.
No, yeah, you can.
But I don't think every glitch in the Matrix is a switch in the timeline. Like, I
No.
do think there's some logical explanations. There's some, like, carbon monoxide. There's some people who just have brain tumors. Like, these things happen. We live in a reality where that is the case. But I also definitely think there are some weird unexplained things. Like the whole, like, big phenomenon of nails that show up. I saw another TikTok yesterday about a girl who, she stitched a post of a girl who had an extra nail, and then she showed that, guys, it happened to me, and she had like a green set of nails, and then there was
she
an extra
found one on like the couch or something, and she's like, these are acrylic, like they're not coming off,
and the ones that she had specifically are like designed, so it's not like it's just a green painted nail. You know?
I've seen that also. What did I want to say? What were you saying?
Alternate timelines, dimensions.
People have brain tumors. I think I was going with also. Oh, it's like the thing. Have you seen that TikTok of the girl that goes? But a lot of people talk about this. She's like, if you're in your room now, like let's say us, we're here talking. How do you know that the bread that's in your fridge is still
in your
there?
fridge.
Like, how do you know it's still there?
But that's like object permanence.
Yeah, but the thing is.
But it isn't to me.
But the thing is, she spoke about it in a way where she's like, everything in like this world that we live in is, it's that thing. I'm talking but I'm not saying it. The science experiment of, what is it called? Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger's cat.
Cat, yeah, where it's like, if the cat is in the box, it's either dead or alive, or it is dead or alive at the same time.
Yeah. Does it exist?
Does it exist? Does it not exist? What's going on? Like,
it's Schrodinger's cat, yeah. Both things are true at the same time.
Exactly. So she was like, everything in this world is just a figment of like what we can see, of our, not imaginations, but like
your vision.
They become real when you can see them.
You know what I have two things to say about that.
Yeah.
First of all, it's like a video game rendering. Like, have you seen those models of video games rendering where if the person is walking in the video game world, then the only thing that's rendering is what's in front of them.
Yeah.
So like while you're moving, these trees go away and
they
these
like
ones
pixelate away and these ones come up.
Yeah. So like, is our world like that? But then also, second thing is, okay, at the beginning of this year, I don't know what happened to me, but I was like, I woke up one day and I was like, I need to understand quantum physics.
Oh, we are recording. Yes.
I was like, I need to understand quantum physics because I don't know what's going on.
That happened to me too. I was like, what is this? Let's go.
Yeah, but then like the basis of quantum physics is if you look at the thing, it changes or it behaves in a different way. So like, is that the truth for our reality as well? That things behave in a way because we can observe them, whatever that means, or like measure them, whatever that would mean.
Yeah.
And then that would mean whenever we experiment on them, see them, touch them, interact with them in any way, they act that way. But when we don't, they interact in a different way, because that's quantum physics.
And that's what like a lot of people on like spiritual TikTok are saying, like, our world isn't as concrete as we think it is. And once you get to like a level of consciousness and whatever, that you can start breaking out of the matrix and you start realizing these things, and you talk about people that are still stuck in the matrix, they're like, what the fuck, of course the bread is still in the fridge, but like, how do you actually know that it is?
I don't know.
So it's like, I think a lot of glitches in matrix are also like just that, like your experience, because let's say someone that was like completely asleep, these things happen to them, they wouldn't even notice, or they would like try to justify it through other means.
But then I'm caught between that, because I'm like, I'm a person who believes in science, I'm a person who believes in medicine. But, so, like, yes, that's the first explanation. But then you can't deny that science and medicine can't explain everything. And there are literal glitches in medicine, there are medical miracles. And we accept that as something that we can't explain yet because medicine isn't advanced enough to do it. And maybe our science isn't advanced and our cognitive function isn't advanced enough to understand these things. And so yes, we call them glitches in the matrix because they're glitches to us right now.
Yeah.
They're glitches.
But that's the thing. I think for me, yes, medicine, science are the basis of everything, but also like just spirituality and things that we can't exactly explain. Like it all comes together.
Yeah.
But we don't, at this point, we don't yet know how to bring them all together for it to make sense. So that's why some
You know what it is? It's exactly that. I was explaining this concept the other day to Marius, I think, that like in school we have to, so like maths, biology, science, accounting, business studies, everything is actually one. Like it all works together in the world as one thing.
Right.
Like it's not separate. Business isn't separate from maths. Maths isn't separate from science. Science isn't separate from biology. They're all connected.
Yeah.
And business links directly to biology. Biology, everything is connected.
Mm.
But in order for us to understand it, we peel away the layers and make it separate so that we can understand them all individually and then bring them together. But they don't exist individually. They all exist together.
Yes.
And that's how I see us understanding the world right now.
Mm.
It's almost as if we understand the world in like these classes of things that make sense to us, but actually it doesn't exist like that. It's not divided like that.
Right.
It's all together. This is just the only way we can understand it right now.
Exactly. That's how it clicked for me when we were, I don't know if you remember this class, but we were doing body and voice with Matt.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept saying, this is what we were talking about, like when you can hear things, like people say things and you're like, yeah, it makes sense. And then one day it makes sense. The one day we were sitting and she goes, we are body, mind, soul, and spirit. And that's all one word. It's not body, mind, soul, spirit. We are body, mind, soul, and spirit. And I was like, hectic.
Yeah.
And it's true, like body, mind, cool. It's your physical being and like the actual chemicals in your brain and things and all the science.
How they interact, how they work together to make you as a face.
But then your spirit is also part of that. Like, and that's another part that we don't know how to explain with science, so people just disregard it, but it's real.
But like, I don't think science disregards the soul because like
No,
they've been trying to figure it out, but like it just doesn't make sense yet. But that's exactly it. Like that's exactly what I'm saying. All of these things are super interconnected, but because of our system of like schooling and because of our brains, we cannot understand. Like if I sat in front of you right now and try to teach you math, science, history, everything without labeling the subjects, you'd be like, why are we talking about Abraham Lincoln and then a cell and then like
it's overwhelming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so we put it in these categories. We're like, okay, we're going to teach you about history, and then we learn all these figures and all these events that happen chronologically. Then we say, okay, biology, you're a human, here's how your cells work, whatever. But like in reality, those things don't exist in disconnected ways. They all exist in one way, all at the same time, all stacked upon each other.
Yeah, and that's why I've heard this a lot from like people that have studied like biology or physics or whatever in like a tertiary institution, especially them. They'll always be like, the shit that we learned in school is oversimplified to a point where it actually doesn't even make sense anymore.
It's actually just jargon because...
Yeah, and once you get to a like deeper level of understanding, it just like it's mind-blowing.
And it's like... Okay, so I'm super interested in biology and medicine. Like, I really love it. I like to research and whatever, but like I'm interested in it, but I'm not like, it's not my passion. Like science isn't my passion. But I understand how it connects to biology. So for that, I will learn it. But then what I'm saying is like, when I'm like, I need to understand quantum physics. Like, I'm not doing maths, babe. I'm understanding the most basic of basic of basic of basic. And that is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So can you imagine if I actually understood it? If I actually got the full picture of that?
Yeah.
It would be insane.
Dude, we should join like a physics class together.
Go to like high school physics.
Yeah, it would be
call up
so
a school
cute.
and say, hi, can we please just sit in on your physics classes once a week?
No, even just like a Zoom, like it's so cute. Because I also really want to like understand it. I also had a moment where I was like, I want to learn quantum physics, and then I just left it. I watched like one video and I was like, this is too much right now.
No, for like 2 weeks.
Existential crisis.
No, for like 2 weeks, girl, I was sitting with a notebook. I was like, okay, explain. Okay, no, go back 10 seconds, explain again. What?
Yo, what is happening?
But there's so many things that I feel like through that experience, like I grasped, that's what I'm saying, like the basics of like not even 1%.
Yeah.
And even in that 1%, there were so many things that went right over my head that I was like, I don't know what this is.
I don't know.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But like the little tiny little fragments that I held on to are still mind-blowing
No,
to me.
it's insane.
It's like that thing I told you, that documentary we watched where they worked out the black hole. It's on Netflix.
Yes.
I can't remember what it's called now, but it's they made formula, whatever, all the stuff, and then it's part of the documentary is like them getting that picture of the black hole, and like the actual maths then just goes into the formula to try. I don't get it. I'm like, how's there people sitting in a room, scientists sitting in a room, writing 2 + 2 on a paper, and next thing we know, we're seeing a picture of a black hole that's millions of light years away. How does that work?
How does it work? Exactly. Dude, talking about black holes. This is my first glitch in the matrix story. So, we call it this, we've experienced this many times. We call it when the universe is blinking. So, we were on Reddit, basically. Everything that we got today, well, not everything, but most of the stories are from Reddit. I was on Reddit, and this guy posted, or whoever posted, the sun turned off. But it's what we've experienced also. So for literally a second, everything just goes black. And you feel like the universe is blinking, or the sun turned off, or whatever. But now, the interesting part is like people trying to explain why this happened in the comments. And one of the comments was, maybe you went through a microscopic black hole. I was like, girly.
Maybe, no.
But that was so funny.
But it happens, like, I think the first time it happened, we were like in university, we were like in the car or something, and everything just went black for like a second. It's almost as if you are blinking, but you know when you blink, your brain is blocking that out. Like, you don't blink and your brain goes, oh, you just saw black. Like, your brain doesn't do that.
But it is a blink, but it's also like a bit extended. Like, you can feel it's like...
And it's not... When you close your eyes, it's black, but there's something happening and you can still sense light and whatever. It's not that. It is black. It's pitch black. It's pitch black. Like, if I had to put my hand, I would not see motion. Like, nothing. And I'm sure someone watching this has experienced that. Like, it can't be just us, because it wasn't a one-time experience.
No,
like,
this has happened many times.
But didn't we catch it on camera also once? At Bobby's house. Then I was like, didn't we just... I think so.
Maybe. I don't know. But it's happened many times. And, like, again, the scary thing is that we look at each other and we're like, did you see that?
Yes. The universe just blinked. Yes. It's not just for one person. Yeah, that's the thing. But then my question would be, like, what is the proximity, you know? Like, is it me and you in this room? Or is it me, you, and the neighbor? Or is it, like, how far does it stretch?
Is it everyone? Like, but not everyone has experienced this, so...
Yeah. But then I'm also like, it's so small that, like, I think most people have experienced it, but I don't think everybody would remember it.
Would
like,
be
I think
aware of it.
I think most people would just say, oh, I closed my eyes for a second longer, or like something, like, you know.
You would try to rationalize.
It's not disruptive.
No.
It's just strange.
And it's so strange. Someone was also saying maybe it's a UFO using the sun to refill the mothership. And I died.
Makes sense.
So funny.
Okay,
let's get into it.
Mine. I have a long one to start off with. And I find it very... Hang on. Just wait. I lost my dog. My dog won.
I lost my dog.
Wow, these people are dying.
Guys, okay, wait, earlier she goes, what was, dying what? What was the rest of the sentence?
I just said, wow, they're dying, they died and she was like, oh, they died.
Because it sounded like the end of the sentence. You were like, they're dying.
No, I meant that I wanted to complete the sentence, they died a late queen for St. Patrick's Day. But like, oh, here, okay. So, my first story is a glitch in the matrix, obviously, of a dog. But this story really freaked me out. Like, for real freaked me out.
Scary.
But I'm gonna read it because I don't want to get this wrong. I'm probably gonna read most of these because I don't want to just tell you my iteration of the story and then I miss details and you're like, what's going on?
No.
Okay, this is from a guy's perspective. I'm not even sure where to start this all. It happened 2 mornings ago. I feel crazy. I can only think of 3 possible situations that can be happening. 1, my friends and family are playing the most elaborate prank I've ever heard of. 2, I'm going crazy. 3, I woke up in an alternative universe. Which obviously is my favorite. So for context, I got my dog Milo 4 years ago from my cousin. He was a 1-year-old pit bull at the time. When I got him, my girlfriend was worried because we have a 1-bedroom apartment and she thought the pit bull may be too large for our apartment. Makes sense. So Friday morning, I got out of bed to feed Milo and take him for a walk. I go to my kitchen and there is sitting a dog I don't recognize. It's a smallish beagle and I've literally never seen this dog before. I have no idea whose dog it is. My mind starts racing because I'm not sure how it would have gotten into my apartment. My first thought is that my girlfriend must be dog sitting. She works the third shift from 1 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. So I go to bed at 10 p.m. every night. So I was assuming I went to bed and one of her friends must have asked her to watch their dog or something. So I sent her a text asking whose dog it is. I decide that I'll walk Milo and this dog separately because I've never had to walk two dogs at once. I go to the bathroom to find Milo because that's the only place he could be hanging out. I walk into the bathroom and it's empty. I call for him and here comes the beagle. I'm confused, but again, I assume my girlfriend must have something to do with this. Maybe she took Milo somewhere and didn't go to work and didn't get a chance to tell me. At this time, I noticed the dog has a collar with a little name tag. I reach down and read it and my stomach drops. It says Milo.
No ways, dude.
I was kind of freaking out, but I honestly thought it was a coincidence. I text my girlfriend again and ask her where Milo is and that I'm going to take this dog for a walk and look for Milo. I go out, I'm looking everywhere in the neighborhood. I was really worked up and I didn't even notice that I had missed messages from my girlfriend. They basically said that she has no idea what I'm talking about and why am I freaking out about where Milo is. As I go to respond, I see her pulling into our neighborhood. She parks and jumps out of the car, runs to the beagle crying, saying, I thought he was gone. Where did you find him? I asked what she means.
Babe.
I asked what she means and she said, you said that Milo was gone. I said, yes, he is.
He's gone.
And she gets this weird look on her face and asks if this was some corny prank. I started crying from frustration and tell her, no, Milo is really missing. I tell her how I woke up and that Milo was just gone. She still thinks I'm messing with her and says she doesn't understand the prank and she's getting annoyed. She starts to take the dog inside. She tells me that my prank was stupid and didn't work. I start getting mad because I tell her this isn't a prank and Milo is really gone.
Yeah, where is he?
She screams, no, the fuck, he's right here. What are you even talking about? Something about how serious she was completely devastated me and everything just kind of clicked that this dog really has to be Milo. I start freaking the hell out and telling her that Milo is a pit bull and I don't know what the hell is going on. I pull my phone out to get pictures of Milo and everything is gone. No photos of Milo at all. There's just a mix of pictures of this beagle on my phone and there's pictures
of the beagle on his phone.
Yeah, but no Milo. And okay, but hang on. I start having a panic attack. I call my mom. She has no idea what I'm calling her about. I message my friends in our Snapchat group chat. They're clueless as well. I call my cousin that gave me Milo and she tells me that he's definitely a beagle. I don't know what's going on. Milo was 100% a pit bull. My city doesn't let pit bulls into the dog park, so we have never even been. This is something I talk to my girlfriend about a lot. How would I have memories like that? My family thinks I'm joking. My girlfriend wants me to go to the doctor. I feel like I'm going insane. I can't stop crying because I want Milo. I want old Milo back. And in some other timelines, and I'm afraid to find out that something else is also different. So, and he keeps going and he says that one thing he's noticed is that every time he brings it up to someone like that he knows or like his family or his friends and says like something's weird, I feel like this is strange, something weird's happening, they get very aggressive or like negative about it. Like they're nobody's like concerned.
They get defensive about it. That's scary because it's almost like then he was kidnapped by fucking these other people on the other timeline and they're like, shut up. Like, don't talk about it.
But then I did research because I was like, what is going on? And the only thing I could find is called Capgras syndrome. Now, it's like a neuro disease, I would say, almost, where you think that your animals are imposters. But all the studies that I read is, like now, I researched it, all the studies that I read was like people saying, this dog looks exactly like my dog, but it isn't my dog. Not anybody saying their dog is different.
And this is a different dog. And this was my question. I don't know if you saw in the comments or whatever, but does this new Milo have the same personality as the old Milo?
Yeah, that's when he responded to this. He said the dog acts similar, but he still feels like something is off. Like he can't look at the dog and say, oh, it's not sitting when this was the command it was told or whatever, you know. But he doesn't feel the same emotional connection. But then it could just be because the dog is different.
Because the dog is different. Dude, that's so scary. Also the fact that he had the dog for 4 years and then one day he's just a different dog.
I would be freaking out. if I had woken up and I'm like, where's my dog that I love? And here's another dog sitting looking at me.
And you call Milo and this one comes.
Yes.
No ways. I would quit my job and just leave my girlfriend and just leave. Go to another town. Like, what the fuck?
There is no way. It's like, oh, well, first of all, I would think that I have a brain tumor. I really would.
No,
I would be
yeah.
convinced I have a tumor in my brain. I would force every doctor that I know to put me in a scanner and look at my brain.
Because how does that happen? But also, why? Like, okay, let's say he jumped timelines or dimensions or whatever. Things are different. Why would a whole entire dog be different? Like, what happened in his life differently this time that they chose a beagle instead of a pit bull?
Well, maybe the girlfriend was just like, babe, the pit bull's really not going to work in this apartment.
Yeah, but why? That's so hectic.
But also the cousin gave him the beagle.
The cousin gave him the beagle, yeah. But previously the cousin gave him the pit bull.
Yeah, and he says in that comment that he responds to that the cousin gave him the pit bull because the cousin's friend had a pit bull that had babies, and the cousin originally took Milo and then realized she couldn't take care of Milo. So he took over Milo. So like, where would the beagle be coming from? Like, why would the cousin give him a beagle?
Or was it the same story just with a beagle? Like, then it goes back to other people's decisions.
Yeah, then it's other people's decisions that are impacting his timeline. But then also what happened? Because, okay, this is another thing I want to bring up. Like, a lot of glitches in the Matrix and stories that I read and stuff is like, it's going to be like the next one that I tell. Something happens that like is an impact or like
a definitive moment that changed something.
It's almost like it's like they die. Like something happens, they get into a car accident, they die, and in my brain it's like, okay, they died and they switched timelines to a new timeline, and now in this timeline they're alive but things are different.
Yeah.
But in this moment nothing happened unless he died in his sleep peacefully and just woke up in a different timeline. But like, why?
Why? But that's my other thing also. Like, people that, let's say, die and move to another timeline, like, why does that happen? Why don't they just die? Like, who decides I'm now switching?
Maybe
like,
you don't get to die until your whole cycle is done.
Right.
Your whole karmic cycle is done.
There wasn't they still have to go through some shit.
Maybe there wasn't the lesson.
Dude, I read a story that it also has to do with pets. So I want to tell you it quickly. I don't have my phone with me, but what happened was... Do you have more to say about Milo?
No.
What happened was, this lady had a cat that had 2 litters of kittens, right? The first litter, they kept one of the cats. And then the second litter, they gave all the cats away. So one of the cats that they kept, then like a few weeks later, passed away.
Oh.
Right? Or he got run over in the street or something. Cool, whatever.
Cool.
Not cool, but, you know, end of the cat's life.
Yeah.
Next month, they're chilling like in their front porch or whatever. And this random kitten that would be the same age, has the same markings.
Is the same kitten.
Is the same kitten, comes running to them, purring, and like cuddling them. So now they grab this cat and they're like,
baby, you died.
hello? What's going on? But then they kept him because they were
Are you not dead?
Yeah. But now, what I want to tell you is, again, my favorite part of the internet, the comments. People were like, cats tell physics to go fuck itself.
Yeah.
Welcome home, Lucy too. Because the cat's name was Lucy. And then what?
Inca's cat was also named Lucy.
Oh yeah, shut that bitch. Then, not Inca the cat. Then someone called the cat Tusi. And someone else said,
Susie.
this is the standard feature of cats. They don't abide by the laws of nature.
They don't.
She probably flattened itself and went through walls. Like, what the fuck, dude? But this is my thing, dude. Like, your cat literally died a month ago.
And here he is.
And now here is the same cat. And the other... Oh, this is the thing. Because then people are like, but isn't it just one of the other cats that maybe you gave away from the same litter?
Cats don't look the same in the same
And
litter.
the owners like dropped him off there by you because they don't want him. And she was like, no, because then she phoned all the people that got all the other cats.
Shame. She was like, guys.
Yeah, she was like, did you guys lose your cat? Like, are you good? And they're like, no, we got our cats.
He's here. We love him.
He's here. So this is very strange.
That is very strange.
Yeah. Also, there was another guy that basically saw his cat in 2 places at once. But that could also be that the cat was just fast and like got from a window to wherever. But I don't remember the whole story. But the cat's name was Damien.
I love animals, domesticated animals that have human names. I love, not even domesticated. I love a horse named Greg. Like name your bug Steve. I die for it.
Branding.
I love branding. I love it. I die.
My dog's name is Brandon, guys, and the other one's name is Maya. Anyway, someone was like, Damien is a good name for a black demon cat.
That's rude.
I want a black demon cat.
I love black demon cats, but I don't name Damien.
But Damien is the name of the kid from The Sixth Sense. You didn't watch it.
I think I did. Isn't it the kid that writes stuff?
And he says like, I see dead people. Is it, or is it Omen? What's the name of that movie? But there's one kid
I think we're communicating past each other here.
Hey?
I think we're communicating past each other. I have a different kid and you have a different, and we're just...
There's a kid from one of those movies that like sees dead people.
Isn't Sixth Sense a series?
No, maybe. I don't fucking know.
Something's wrong.
Okay.
You're from a different timeline.
No, don't say that.
No. Okay, we'll get to our stories now. I don't wanna start them.
Okay, what's your next one?
My next one. Okay, here we go. This is one like that I spoke about before. Like there's an impact. There's a moment where you're like, oh, okay. I guess this is where it would have happened. And this could be an explanation. Okay, so the title is I fell off a cliff and when I was rescued my entire reality was different. And she starts off the story.
I mean, yeah, you fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I guess, but like, so she starts off the story saying like, she went snowmobiling with a boyfriend. They'd been dating for 2 months. He was snowmobiling the whole day, like he was the one driving. And then at the end of the day, he let her drive one time. And at one point, instead of hitting the brake, she hit the accelerator because she was new to driving. And she went off the side of a cliff and she fell 50 feet down. But
was the boyfriend next to her?
No, the boyfriend wasn't with her. She was alone.
Okay.
And then she fell and the snowmobile landed on top of her. But okay, so she felt stuck and she was scared that she was like paralyzed and like all the worst things went through her brain. But then her boyfriend came and her boyfriend yelled for help and a bunch of other people came and they helped her. They lifted up the stuff and she had minor damage. She wasn't paralyzed. Like she was fine. She was actually okay. And there was nothing wrong with the snowmobile except that the windscreen had cracked a little bit. So all in all, she was like, this should have been way worse. Like I'm good. And in that moment, she was like, okay, I'm grateful to be here. And nothing felt weird to her. Like nothing felt like off. But looking back, she's like, this is really the moment that it all started changing. So I'm going to read from there. So she says, there was suddenly a pandemic. In my old timeline, there was a virus going around, but it had only impacted a few people and it was more like a flu. Nothing big or nothing to be worried about. Which obviously that's not the reality in this timeline. Like, baby, we're in a pandemic. Like, it's crazy. Okay. Now, this is the part that's really freaky. She says, I had a different job. At the time, I chalked it up to the pandemic. We were on a trip because I was about to start a new job. I had signed the contract and I knew what the role entailed. I was going to start the Monday after. But after the crash, I couldn't get a hold of my new boss for 9 months. And when he finally picked up, he told me I already got the job in November, even though I had accepted it in February. Like, I only got the job in November, even though I had accepted it in February. He also comments how I've never been to the office when he gave me a tour in January 2020. So she got the job later and she had never been there. But in her timeline, she was about to start the job. She had been on the tour.
What?
And now the role that I'm in is completely different from the papers that I signed. So she's doing a different job. Okay.
Can you imagine? Like, yeah, I know you qualified for this one, but now you're doing this one.
And it's months later. Okay, but now, listen to this. My loving, awesome boyfriend was physically abusive for the first time that night. He got blacked out and he attacked me and choked me. He was crying the next day. Like, nothing had ever happened before. I thought he was just traumatized from the crash, and I let it go.
Was this the night of the crash?
Yeah, that night. So she was like, okay, maybe he was just traumatized, like maybe he was just like freaked out from the day and what had happened, so now I took it out or whatever. Okay, this was another thing that was different. I would have never let that go before. I come from a loving childhood where my dad was my best friend always. I would have never put up with something like that before the crash. And I was actually shocked that I did. Okay, in my old timeline, I was on a low dose of Xanax and blood pressure medication. Now I don't take any medication at all. Over the next year, a series of weird things that don't make sense kept happening to the point where I am starting to feel suspicious. All of a sudden, I have an incurable disease that I didn't have before. I'm in pictures that I have no idea what the context is. I'm wearing clothes that I don't own anymore. My friends have memories of me that I don't share. And I'm getting more and more depressed. My boyfriend keeps physically abusing me and I cannot get out of it. I have no will to save myself. I just keep thinking, this can't be my life. This isn't my life. I just felt like I wasn't supposed to be here. And finally, I look at Reddit and I realized, I think I died in that snowmobile crash, and this is an alternative timeline.
No.
I start to just agree with my friends when they say things like, remember when you said this or did this or when we went here? But I have no recollection of it. My CAT scans are completely normal after visiting the ER. I wasn't really the most observant person to begin with. A new couch could be in the living room for days and I wouldn't notice. So when all the stores and shops are different in my town, I don't know if they were always there or they had just changed now. I have finally worked up the nerve to tell my sister, who is surprisingly supportive. She asked me what else is different. There was the song in my other timeline. It was a very popular song by Shania Twain. Anyone would know it. I sing it to her with the lyrics. That I tell her we always used to sing and listen to it when we were growing up. She has no recollection of it.
Oh no.
I typed the words into Google. The song doesn't exist. The longer I'm in this timeline, the more I forget the words and the melody to the old song. Now this next part. Also, there was no iPhone 13 in the other timeline because Steve Jobs was superstitious and it was supposed to go from 12 to 14. I notice little glitches like that and I know they're stupid and doesn't matter.
Yo.
Then she goes on to say like she's accepted her new reality. She gets it is what it is. She feels like at this point it doesn't help that she tries to get back to the old timeline because there's no way for her to do it. She doesn't know how to do that.
Right.
And then she puts an edit like answering questions and she says, yes, to answer the questions about the iPhone, here's my comment. Jobs died in 2011 in the old timeline as well, but he had planned out the designs for the phones way past when he died. Because he knew that he had cancer. He had an elaborate release plan for all of the phones. Then she goes, "They're not here?" ? And yes, he designed them so that iPhone 13 would be skipped because he was superstitious.
Yo. Dude, this is insane to me. It's almost like Mandela effects, but it's just you.
Yeah, it's just you.
It's literally just you. Like with the song thing, that freaks me out.
The thing is, like, things like this freak me out so much, but like glitches that I started reading and stuff started with really little things that would happen to people, like small things, like just like whatever, something would disappear or a road wouldn't be there or like one thing. But like a glitch like this where like your whole entire life is different, something is like, that is insane. That's crazy. How can you go through something and then all of a sudden everything you know is just different?
Yeah.
She was on medication, now she's not. She has a disease that she never had before. Her job, like the iPhone thing, that's weird.
It's big things. It's
massive things, and it's not just one thing.
That's insane to me. And like she said, she was never really an observant person, so for her to see all these big changes,
yeah,
like it is,
and notice it and say, this is wrong.
This is wrong. Yeah. Yo, dude, that freaks me out.
That freaks me out, dude. Because how do you prevent it? Like, how do you...
This is my thing.
Make sure it doesn't happen to you.
Why? What is the reason?
I don't know. But, like, this isn't the first time I've heard stories like this. Like, oh, there's a story... I don't have it. Like, I can't remember. I watched a TikTok on it or something. Oh, it was a girl on TikTok that like, went on a quest. This was in, like, 2020. She was like, please help me, I'm going insane. Where she, like... woke up one day and she's a teenager and her whole life was different, but like small changes. Like she was working at the same location that she always worked, but it was a different store. Yeah. And she had different friends. and all the stuff. And her family was slightly different. Like small things were off. Like her mom hated strawberries, now she loves them. Like stuff like that. And she started journaling and drawing like stuff and like all the stuff because she missed her old timeline. But eventually she adjusted and she made like all these friends in school, and she had like a best friend that was like everything to her, all the stuff. And then one day she went to sleep and woke up and she was back in her old timeline. And nothing was there. And now she like spends her time drawing her friends that from the old timeline.
Old one.
She's an artist, so like she can draw. So she like draws her friends from the old timeline. She's like, this is Elliot and I miss him so much and he used to do this and he drank this and this is the memories I have with him.
Dude, can you imagine? Like, this is my question. Like, do people ever switch back? That's insane.
Well, did I ever tell you the story? Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No,
but did I
stop.
ever tell you the story about the guy who did DMT?
No. Well, maybe yes.
I love the topic of DMT because DMT is like such a strange drug. Like it's so different from all the other drugs. Like DMT and ayahuasca are very interesting to me, but like DMT especially. And like I sound like Joe Rogan, but like I really like the science behind it and like the understanding of it because it's in your body and it's natural and it's literally making you trip.
Yeah.
And there's two things I want to say about this, but okay.
And not just that, but the DMT trips are insane.
Insane.
Yeah.
So I like reading other people's experiences of trips and stuff because I'm trying to grasp this concept. Like, what does it actually do to you? Because it already exists in your body. So like larger quantities of it is just, anyway. So now I read this one thing about this guy who took a DMT trip. Now, if you don't know anything about DMT, it's a drug that you smoke, you inhale it, and normally people they almost pass out. Like they close their eyes, they lie back, they can't. Some people say you should try to keep your eyes open. No one can, like whatever.
Right. Isn't it also like really quick?
It's 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. So it's like very, very short. This guy, but obviously it doesn't feel like 15 to 20 minutes. It feels forever.
Yeah.
This guy tripped on DMT, had a life. Like he tripped, his trip finished. He had a life with a wife and a kid.
Yes, you told me that.
And then he woke up.
And like, where's my wife and my kid?
Where's my baby? Whatever. And all of his friends says that he's never been the same. Like he's never been the same guy. And he's like, his whole life, he now like misses his wife and his kid. That doesn't exist. And so like, that's interesting to me because it also like brings up the question of like psychosis or like drug-induced psychosis where people are like, you're like crazy, whatever. But are they really crazy or did something really happen? Like did that really happen? Did he live that life in another timeline where time moves faster? And then he came back and now he doesn't have that and he has to live the rest of his life without that.
Ooh, that's insane to me, dude.
That is insane.
What also freaks me out about the DMT trips is when people experience the same visions and stuff.
Yeah.
And like hear the same things and like see.
But they're supposed to be on different trips because supposedly DMT, well, a drug, right, is just your brain chemicals reacting. So now you're experiencing things like, I don't think any other drug, that's why DMT is so interesting to me.
Right.
Because I don't think any other drug is you experiencing stuff that just exists outside. Like, it's just your brain chemicals reacting and creating a new reality for yourself.
Yeah.
But DMT especially, I feel like it's not you. It's not within you.
No.
DMT is outside of you.
That's what people say, like it's almost like you're breaking down the matrix that we live in and you're seeing the things that we can't physically see with the human eye. Like, we see past into like other realms and stuff. Yeah,
it's like every other drug is fueled, like your trip is fueled by your brain and like your psyche. Whereas DMT isn't. It's like it's taking you somewhere else and your psyche is reacting to that.
Yeah. What is it that people hear when they hear on DMT? Like you're breaking out or what?
Welcome, we're glad you found this technology. Like everyone hears like an iteration of that phrase. And I think Kanye has also spoken about this before, where it's like a tech voice, like a girl tech voice that says like, welcome, we're glad you found this technology. Which like, honestly, if I had to do any drug in my life and somebody's talking to me and saying that,
no,
I'm not coming back.
No, it's finished, dude.
I'm not coming back from that. How do you come back from that and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm a human again? You can't.
No, you can't, absolutely not. And also people see the same kind of things, like there's like a snake.
Do you know that? Yeah. Do you know that now they're trying to like map the DMT universe? So a bunch of DMT users have kind of said, if we're all seeing the same stuff,
Right.
we should be able to link this somehow. So
Yes.
if I share my DMT experience with everyone who's ever done DMT, and we put it all together, there should be something, we should be able to map it. Like, there should be a map of the,
They
of the
should
place.
make a video game out of it.
And so they're trying to do that. But, like, it's difficult. Like, how do you know in which part you were in or whatever?
That's
But, like, it's crazy.
insane. I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yo, dude. But yeah, going back to that lady with her whole life, like, when I said, like, it's almost like a Mandela effect, but just for you. Like, we've both experienced glitches in the matrix, I was gonna say. Like, this happened like a few months ago. Remember when I sent you a picture of my garden and I was like, dude, right there was pink flowers here? And you were like, no, there wasn't. And I was like, yes, there was. And I remember because I had a conversation with my mom when we just moved into this house. And she was walking with me and she was like, oh my gosh, these flowers are called, what did she say? Los novios, she said those flowers are called that. And she's like, my mom used to love these flowers, they're so cute, and they were like bright pink. And then like a month later, I go out into my garden and I'm just looking around like at the trees, whatever, and now it's just green.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello?
And white.
What's going on? So when little things like that change, yo, dude, and it's already scary. Now
White flowers.
Imagine your whole fucking life changing.
No.
Jesus.
I don't get it. Like, I don't know how. My thing is, like, how do you respond to it? Because it's almost like the only experience that I can think of that I can relate to that is if someone dies. Like, if someone dies that you're close to. Like, if the person dies that you're close to, and it's almost like when they die, you want to go to them and tell them. Like, my friend just died. But then they're the person that's dead. Like, that's literally how it is. Like, it feels like your brain almost can't comprehend that person is dead. So, like, a lot of things will happen where your brain will be like, oh, you should tell this. And then you're like, but
you can't.
I can't.
Yeah.
That happens so many times. And that's the only thing I can think of that I can relate. Like, being in this new timeline, you would want to tell your partner or whatever, like, I'm in a new timeline, but they're a new person.
Yeah.
You're the only one that's the same.
That's insane. What other stories you got?
Do you not have?
No, I'm done.
You wanted to tell one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I saw you were researching like 20 things. I was like, let me just let this bitch talk and I'll...
Okay, well then I'm gonna tell...
Because also we can't talk forever.
Okay. I'm gonna then tell the one that you experienced with me.
Oh gosh, I don't even remember what you're talking about.
That's what happened.
Close this book.
For the pandemic, first of all, for the pandemic, I wasn't gonna go. It was only supposed to be 21 days in lockdown, so I wasn't gonna go back home. But because the pandemic was really scary and we didn't know what was going on, I felt like literally the day before we went into lockdown, I was like, okay, my mom's all alone and she already has health complications, and if something happens to her and she gets this virus, there's no one to look after her. Because we didn't know in the beginning how hectic it was going to be, and also it was so scary. Everyone was going to hospital and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, what happens if she has to go to hospital and nobody can take her or whatever? Because it's a really small town. Like, I don't even trust the ambulances there. I don't even trust... The whole country was going into lockdown. The day I got there, they hadn't even had hand sanitizers outside of places yet. Everything was moved so much slower there. I remember that day. It was the day before lockdown. I go there, I'm doing shopping so that I'm we can have stuff, because we didn't even know the grocery stores there were going to be open all the time. They kind of had at first I thought they were only going to be open one day a week, all this stuff.
Wow, okay.
So I went and did a bunch of shopping so that we could have stuff. And not even everyone in the shops were wearing masks yet. It was literally at the point where in Pretoria, 2 weeks before, things were already selling out of the shops. There was no food on the shelves, people wearing masks, everyone was wearing gloves.
Even before there was a COVID case in South Africa at Bounce, do you remember we had, you weren't working there, but we had hand sanitizer already.
Yeah.
Okay,
but that's what I'm saying. I feel like here, by the time COVID was a thing here, I think we went into the lockdown when there was 100 cases here? Not even
100.
And
4.
Yeah, at that point we had already had remember I went into the Willies? I have all those pictures on Instagram where I went into the Willies and recorded everything. There was nothing but yogurt, and this lady's wearing dishwashing gloves, and people wearing masks.
People were already taking all the precautions.
Yeah, and over there it was almost like people hadn't even caught up to the fact that what was going to happen, but tomorrow they're going into lockdown.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I had gone there And it was a strange experience, whatever. I thought I was going to be there for 21 days. All of a sudden, I'm there for 7 months. It's the middle of winter. I have no warm clothes. All the clothing stores are closed. Like, everything was insane. I started wearing like old clothes that I found in the cupboard of my brother and everything. Anyway, great. Then, after the long 7 months, I'm coming back. And so now I hadn't driven this road in 7 months.
Was it really 7 months, dude? Yo, that's so long.
Now I hadn't driven this road in 7 months. I was living.
I remember.
The last time I came, like I drove this road. You were living in Pretoria. You weren't even married yet. Marius was. Now I'm driving back, and everything's different. And the road that I drive specifically, you drive to one point, to one town, and then in that town you take like a turn that then completely moves you in a different direction again. It takes you around. Okay, shots. So I've driven this road many times. I just hadn't driven it for 7 months. And here I get to one point, and all of a sudden there's a detour. So I'm supposed to now go right and take this road, but I can't. So now I'm like,
why was it closed?
Yeah, they're doing road work.
Okay.
And this specific road that you take to get to the next part is like a narrow, tiny little road. So it's not like, there's no way you can go anywhere else. There's fields with like boulders and shit. Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
So I can't just drive around the road work. And it's probably for like more than 10 kilometers of road work.
Okay.
So there's a detour with a sign. So you take this weird, windy, almost like ground road, like dirt road, to this next road, and then you take this next road to get back to that point. But it's a long detour. It's clearly not going to be like a 3-hour journey anymore. It's going to be long. Okay, so I start taking the detour because obviously now I have to, and I'm kind of annoyed because what the hell, and I get anxious when I'm driving anyway, especially if I'm driving long distances. Now I have to take a road that I've never driven before. I don't know it. I'm scared that I'm going to get lost, whatever. But I'm like, I have no other choice. So I'm taking this detour. And there's not a lot of people driving this road. By not a lot of people, I saw maybe one car in the whole time that I was driving the detour.
Yeah.
So I'm driving and driving and driving. And I'm more than a half an hour in by this point, and I'm still going. Like, I don't know where the end of this is.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And there is nothing. Like, I haven't seen a farmhouse. Where the road that I normally drive, there's also nothing. But there's farms. Every now and then there's a boardie saying, you're going to turn here, or if you go here, or whatever, you know.
Or people are just selling stuff on the road or whatever.
And then there's truckers, and there's, like, informal neighborhoods, like, all this stuff. There's stuff, you know. Here, there's nothing. I haven't seen cows. Okay? And all of a sudden, there's a massive pink double-story house. Massive. It was so weird to me. I take my phone and take a picture of the house. Because I'm like, I can see it coming up. I'm like, this is so weird. Why would there be a pink house here? If it was on a farm or something, I wouldn't have even thought that it's that weird. Like, maybe the farmer has an exotic wife that likes pink and she wanted a house pink. Like, whatever. But there was nothing.
There's nothing for kilometers and kilometers on end.
I've been driving for like 45 minutes. There's nothing.
Right.
Okay. So I take a picture of the house and I keep driving. I am driving. There is nothing. Okay. The radio stations aren't even picking up anymore. Okay. Because at this point I had switched to radio because I don't want to be thinking about what song is going to play next while I'm on this road, and I already have anxiety.
Yeah.
So now I just put the radio. The radio doesn't even pick up. I get to Ariana's house. I'm like, the weirdest thing happened. Like, I was on this road and the whole time I was feeling so nervous and off, and it just wasn't nice. It wasn't a good journey. Whatever. And I'm like, and look at this. And I showed you the picture of the house and you're like, wow, that's so weird. Big house. Crazy. Cool. So I spent the night, whatever. The next day, I'm telling her husband about this thing. I'm like, yo, so I was driving. It was crazy. There was this weird detour and there was this house, whatever. And I take my phone to show him the picture. And there's a picture with no house.
Like, just let that sink in. The picture's there, but there's nothing.
It's grass. I took a picture of the grass.
And I saw the picture yesterday.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, I really forgot this happened.
You saw the picture, but I saw the house. And why would I have been driving and then go, oh, okay, let me just take a picture of the grass? For what reason?
But not just that, you took the picture of the house because I saw the picture of the house.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, What does it make sense? Why would I have the picture in the first place if it was just going to be of grass?
No, dude. And you didn't take like 3 pictures.
No, because I didn't want to be on my phone. I didn't even play music because I didn't want to be on my phone. I took one picture and moved on with my life. And there was no house.
Oh, dude, that's insane.
I didn't know what to do. Honestly, he thought that I was insane because he's like, are you okay? I'm like, no.
No, literally, it was insane. But this is why I wanted to tell you, when weird shit happens to us from now on, we need to not be like, okay. We must like note it down because then I forget these things happen because we're just
but
like,
that's exactly it.
Okay.
Yeah, we just say, okay, that's exactly it because now he's telling me. He's like, because I go to show him, I'm like, yo, so I saw the speaker. No, I didn't see a pink house. I guess I didn't see anything. There's no picture. I can't show you. And he's like, what do you mean?
We just fully accept it and we need to stop doing that.
We need to stop. But like, I don't know what else to do. Because I feel like if I make a big deal out of it, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah.
Like in that moment. I need to just leave it, let it simmer. And then in like 6 months, my brain will be like, what was that? And I'll be like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know.
No, that's insane to me.
But like, it's also weird that like, I don't know, you're somehow connected to it because like I showed you it and you were like, and then.
But this is our thing, we always experience weird ass shit together. Like, why?
Yeah. The only weird thing I didn't experience with you is the next thing that I'm going to say.
What's the next thing?
You know this one.
Yeah.
And I experienced it with Marius. And we already spoke about this last week. Marius is such a skeptical person, whatever. There was a year in which, Marius is a year older than I am, he's your age. So like, all of his friends turned 21 in the same year, and I was still 20. So Brendan had his 21st birthday party here in Centurion, and we were still living outside. So Marius and Brendan have been friends for years. So obviously we were coming to his birthday party, and I was like, okay, you drink, you have a good time, like, because it's your friend's birthday and you guys have been close forever, so like have a great time with him, and then I'm gonna be sober and I'll drive us home.
Yeah.
So I drove with my car because he was still driving the MG, the big car, and I didn't want to drive it. I felt uncomfortable. So we drove with my car, had a great night. At 3 a.m. I'm like, okay, I'm exhausted. We gotta go.
Let's get it going, guys.
Yeah, let's go. And Brendan's people had already kicked us out by 12. So at this point we were like, the party was done.
It's finished.
But now all of the boys are still having a great time. I'm like, okay, 3 a.m. let's go. So Marius gets in the car, he's sitting in the passenger side, we're having a great time, we're driving the highway back. There's no one on the highway. It's deserted, okay? Tell me why. While we're driving, all of a sudden, there is a guy in a full spacesuit, like white suit, on the side of the road. But not just on the side, like he's on the highway, walking. First of all, you're not allowed to walk on the highway. Second of all, why were you in a spacesuit? And he was holding like computer junk in his hand. Third of all, it's 3 a.m.
By spacesuit, what do you mean?
I mean
like white overalls.
No, I mean like think about what an astronaut would be wearing in space.
With the helmet and all.
A helmet.
Don't
I don't know
lie.
what his face is. No, I promise. I don't know what his face is. You can call Marius right now and ask him. He was in a full spacesuit. I don't mean he was wearing a reflective suit. No, he was in like
an astronaut suit.
Like that's the closest thing I can describe it as. But like it's typically what you would think. It's like a white puffy thing that he's wearing that covers every part of his body, and he's wearing big chunky boots. Like not, I can't see a hand. There's nothing. Okay? And I was like, what? And Marius went, what? And we're driving, it's a highway, you're going 120.
Yeah,
at this point we're probably going 160 because there's no one on the highway and I'm trying to get home at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
We both saw this man. I'm like, we didn't just see that.
And he's carrying like a fucking keyboard and stuff.
He's he's walking like this. He's carrying like, it looked like computer junk in his hand.
Yeah. Like
random,
wires.
Yeah, like random shit. So I was freaking out. Marius is drunk and he's like laughing about it but like concerned. He's like, what is going on? We didn't know what to do. We drove home. We got home. We sat in the car for a minute. Like got out of the car. We were like, okay, I guess we'll sleep. The next day we're like, what is going on? He remembered it. I remembered it. And this is exactly my point. Marius is skeptical.
Yeah.
He would say, oh no, it's just some guy that lost his bike, that whatever, and he had
he
no explanation.
rationalizes everything. And to be honest, like his explanations sometimes really do make sense.
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah.
sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah, he's never given me an explanation that I'm like, that's impossible. Most of the time I'm just like, I will not believe that. I'm not gonna believe that. I choose not to.
You're like, could be true, but
I choose not to believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, dude, but why the fuck would an astronaut be carrying computer junk on the highway at 3 a.m. in South Africa?
And my brain, why? Okay, do we even have astronaut gear? Do we even have in South Africa?
Yeah.
Why would we have?
What's
I have
going on?
never seen a spacesuit in real life.
No, not even at the costume shop, dude.
Never. So where does it come from? And on the highway in the middle of nowhere at 3 a.m. walking, not on a bike, not next to a car, not walking. And that was the other thing. Then I was like, while we're driving, I'm like, maybe it's a guy that got out of his car. We're looking, like on the side of the highway. Is there a car parked somewhere? Something going on?
No car.
Nothing.
And it's not even a part of the highway where there's like a bridge or something that he's going onto. Like,
Nothing.
but who, like, baby, what are you doing here? Please explain to me.
And then the next day, Morris is like, I don't know. I don't know what this is. I'm like, maybe it's a guy fixing the Matrix.
I was just gonna say, I can imagine him sitting on the side, like he just got plunked here. Then he goes to the side of the highway, takes out his computer, like plugs it into the air.
Yeah.
And then he's like
zipping open the air, like fixing the wiring inside of it, like typing.
He's like the maintenance man for the
That's
Matrix.
exactly what I said. I was like, I think he like was doing maintenance on the Matrix. And Marius was like, haha, you're so funny.
No,
Like,
but literally, he was doing maintenance. He's like, some shit's a bit fucked here.
Because it wasn't like, it didn't, again, you can argue that it was a human and whatever. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like this guy was supposed to be here, and it didn't feel like I was supposed to see the guy.
You know when someone is not human. Like that lady from Midland. Quickly, we don't have a lot of time, but there was a shopping centre close to where we used to live, Midland Mall. Sure, all of you guys know it. Every single time I went to Midland, and this is be it morning, afternoon, evening, whenever, on a weekend, on a weekday,
we went there a lot because we were tired of Brooklyn Mall, and we would go there and buy food in between our classes and stuff.
Yeah, every single time I would go there, I would see the same lady in the same outfit, carrying, what was it?
A plastic bag, like a chicken's bag, like a thing, and it's like clothes, but like it's like knotted. She's carrying it. Her hair is crazy, and she's always just walking. Like she's never going into a store.
Yeah, well, she's never sitting and eating. She's never in a store.
She's at the that like weird, what is it called?
The food court.
The food court. She sits, but she doesn't eat anything. She just sits there, and then at some point she gets up and she leaves again.
She's just a placeholder, dude. Like that's just what she is.
Yeah,
she's
that's the one. You know how you spoke about
human.
Yeah, you know how you spoke about Emily that's like trapped and stuff, and you felt bad for her. I never felt that for her, but for this lady, I always felt bad. I felt like she was trapped inside of me and she can't get out. Like
she is trapped. Like why is she there? But that's what it feels like. Like she's just a placeholder, like trying to be human. Because what the fuck?
If you've ever watched The Adjustment Bureau, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a movie that I was obsessed with when I was little.
But I don't remember it.
It's a guy who's a senator, and then he meets this girl in a bathroom who is a dancer, and they just happened to run into each other because she was in the wrong bathroom. And he was about to give this massive speech, and they started speaking to each other because she was in a bad place and she didn't want to leave the bathroom, and he was trying to help her not get caught, all stuff. And then they have a conversation, and this conversation makes him walk out, and for the first time in his life, he doesn't read from his like stuff that he's supposed to, and he actually says like real problems, and it makes him win the election. And then he got her number and he loses it. And he searches he's basically living his life trying to find this girl. And then one day, he finds her by accident. And then from there, everything is wrong. Like, basically these government workers in suits come and they like take her card out of his wallet. And they're like, you weren't supposed to find her ever again. You messed with the system. This is not the plan for your life. They're like showing him a book and whatever. And then his assigned like government worker. But in reality, like they're kind of alluding to the fact that these government workers are angels. So his specific caseworker like eventually helps him see the book of his life and is like, you need to go find this girl this way, and then they like mess with the system and they change everything for everyone, and the future is different forever. But like, there's one point in the movie where he sees a government worker for the first time, and what they've done is they've paused all the people in the building, and they're like erasing like parts of their memories that they don't want them to have anymore and stuff. And he happens to walk in and see this, and that is exactly how I felt when I saw that man. Because I was like, I'm not supposed to see you. This is something that shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
In my brain. So I don't know if I should be telling people about this.
No, you must talk about it, because what the fuck, dude? But did he even look at the car, like, when you drove past?
He was just walking, like, that's all I remember. He was this white suit walking. And I don't remember him being particularly fazed by us.
Yeah.
Like, nothing happened. It wasn't, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's literally as if you would see, like, a guy walking across the road and you would be driving. But, like, we knew that, why is this guy in the suit? And obviously he must have thought something. But nothing was, it's not like the universe is yelling, this is weird!
Yeah.
You shouldn't be seeing this. You're just like, wait,
nothing
something's
crazy
off.
happened. It's just
Literally just
uneasy.
You're driving and then you're like, this shouldn't be a thing. And it is.
Great. I think that wraps up our stories for this week.
Please let us know if you have creepy glitches in the Matrix or weird things that have happened to you. Or if you have any explanations for the stories that we've told so
We're
far.
obviously very passionate about this topic. So
We love this
please,
topic.
we are excited to hear more stories.
Yeah, and if you like this topic, you can go on Reddit and find a lot about it, but you can also go on TikTok and find a lot of stories of a lot of real people telling you what happened to them. And I don't think, I think there's so many that, like, sure, maybe 100 of them or 200 of them or 1,000 of them are whatever, carbon monoxide poisoning, like, whatever.
Just bullshit.
But some of them definitely have to be real.
Yeah. So cool, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, and
Namaste.
namaste. Let's say it nicely at the same time. Okay.
Namaste.
Bye.
Why is our voices like that?
Hey.